What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story, were not the story here, because they voted almost 80% for the vice president. Right. So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms? And why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We're ready to respond to their attacks. We're ready to respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution.
It fixed itself, and I think that's why America works. It has worked for 200 years. When it gets too crazy, it fixes itself.
Look, we have the next 4 years to celebrate. But let me ask, has anyone checked in on the left? Well, she seems to be handling that great.
For over 200 years, America has carried out the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory.
Kamala Harris just completed a phone call with President-elect Donald Trump to concede the election.
Because it is my sworn duty and responsibility to lead that fight, working with the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul. This is not the time to be fearful, New York, knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my entire team, we are guardians of the law. And we are prepared, my friends, to fight back.
And I think people should give credit within the Democratic Party. Donald Trump saved them tonight, too, because they're going to have to take a spatula to these policies and bring it back to the center over the next 4 years.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Breaking news. Joe Biden actually finally accepted Donald Trump's victory for 2024's presidential election.
Should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never again.
I'm not going to take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired.
But before we get to this, we have to talk about New York cases against Donald Trump. In fact, guys, we're talking about Attorney General Letitia James and Governor Kathy Hochul speaking about Donald Trump. And it's getting nasty, guys. Watch.
Live look at New York City, where Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul was speaking, but now New York Attorney Letitia James is speaking here about how her office is going to respond to a Trump presidency. Let's listen in for a moment.
And with other Democratic AGs across this country to make sure that we would be ready to respond to any attempt to roll back our rights. So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We've identified certain possibilities, fact patterns. We've created contingency plans. So no matter what the next administration throws at us, we're ready.
Clearly, this is an angry, angry woman. Look at her. Look at this woman here. Look at these. Is she cross-eyed? I mean, clearly, she is upset with Donald Trump. She's been mad at Donald Trump for a long time. She's targeted this man for being a real estate success, for being an entrepreneur, for being a businessman. She wants to take Trump Towers away from him. She is campaigned on taking down Donald Trump, and she's not giving up. But now they're scared. Now they're scared, guys. They're literally in fear and they're panicking. And so this is Letitia James trying to get out ahead of this thing and trying to basically strategize how she's going to handle a Trump presidency. Watch.
We're ready to respond to their attacks. We're ready to respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution.
Why would there be any revenge needed? Like, what have you done, Letitia James, to, I don't know, Donald Trump that would make him want to seek revenge on you?
We will continue to protect and our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us.
Trump derangement syndrome.
Because it is my sworn duty and responsibility to lead that fight, working with the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul. This is not the time to be fearful, New York, but faithful and steadfast, knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my entire team, we are guardians of the law, and we are prepared, my friends, to fight back. Thank you.
Wow, guys. So, all right. So following Donald Trump's recent presidential victory, Attorney General Letitia James, and as you can see here, you've got this woman who's about to cross the stage here. Her name is Governor Kathy Hochul of New York. They made statements regarding their responses to the presidential election's outcome. Now, Letitia James, she clearly expressed that her office is prepared to respond to the election result, highlighting her dedication to protecting the rights of New Yorkers and upholding the rule of law. Well, Donald Trump's not breaking any laws. Donald Trump's not trying to ruin the lives of New Yorkers. In fact, he's trying to improve the lives of New Yorkers. But here you have this dangerous rhetoric that you have, that the Attorney General here and Governor Kathy Hochul are trying to spew out here. And they're continuously trying to make this a very hostile environment, and we don't need that, guys. This statement has sparked a lot of criticism from a lot of people viewing this thing, and they're seeing this as an indication of Letitia James' ongoing opposition against Donald Trump. Now, I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know what it is that's got this angry woman here so upset with Donald Trump. I don't even understand it. Now, I don't know if she's got a crush on Donald Trump and he didn't show her no love and she's just mad, kind of like an angry girlfriend, an angry ex. I don't even know. But critics are arguing that Letitia James has effectively engaged in what people have labeled as lawfare. It's a lawfare campaign, guys. It's a prolonged legal effort by various state and federal prosecutors solely intending to target Trump, which they claim involved legal strategies that are typically not used against other people. And this is exactly what we've seen, guys. Governor Kathy Hochul, she also commented stating how New York is prepared for the implications of Donald Trump's presidency. And this has led a lot of people to speculate that New York's leadership's ready to actively oppose Donald Trump, although it kind of remains unclear at this moment what specific actions that they anticipate on taking. But get this, guys. Meanwhile, you got Special Counsel Jack Smith. He hasn't quite given up yet. In fact, he's considering how to handle ongoing federal cases that were manufactured against Trump. In fact, a longstanding DOJ policy, Department of Justice, so longstanding DOJ policy states that a sitting president cannot be prosecuted, which could mean that essentially all of these cases could theoretically be dropped or paused. Now, obviously, Trump would like to have these cases dropped entirely and not paused because that would only be a temporary stay. Now, this consideration, it adds a lot of complexity to the legal actions that might overlap with Trump's term. So, and in addition to the federal cases, there's an ongoing state level case that's being overseen by none other than Judge Juan Merchan involving Donald Trump's alleged falsification of business records related to Stormy Daniels and whatnot. Another manufactured case, DA Alvin Bragg was basically the district attorney that was attacking Donald Trump on that one. But Judge Juan Merchan is now expected to decide whether Trump has immunity in this case. Now, it's beyond me why he even has the power, or I don't even think he has the power to decide whether Donald Trump has immunity or not. But of course, if immunity is granted, then Trump's legal team if immunity is not granted, then Trump's legal team has the ability to appeal to further delay proceedings. But I honestly think that Donald Trump being president could kind of make these problems go away one way or another. By the way, guys, if you appreciate the content, definitely hit the like button for the video. Subscribe to the channel. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. We got to get this information shared to more people so that they understand what is going on. This is literally the attacks against Donald Trump. It doesn't end with a presidency, clearly. So he wins the presidency, and these people don't stop. They're like these annoying gnats at a freaking barbecue. So former Attorney General Bill Barr, he has publicly argued that these cases should be dismissed. He emphasized that Donald Trump's recent victory shows public support in spite of these ongoing legal challenges. Barr believes that voters have rendered their verdict and that these cases should be closed to respect their decision. I happen to agree with the guy. The civil fraud case that Letitia James brought against Donald Trump involves the valuation of Mar-a-Lago, which the state reportedly appraised between $18 million and $20 billion. That's a big gap. How are you going to value something somewhere between, we think it's worth somewhere between $18 million and $20 billion, leading to a large judgment against Donald Trump? Now, some critics argue that the appellate court in New York has shown skepticism toward this case. You think? I mean, you'd have to be like brain dead to not have a little bit of skepticism on that one.
What's happened here is the system self-corrected. When you try and break the American model, it fixes itself. And I think people should give credit within the Democratic Party. Donald Trump saved them tonight, too, because they're going to have to take a spatula to these policies and bring it back to the center over the next 4 years and in a way reset. And we talked about this earlier, but he saved entrepreneurship. He saved the entire model of the S&P 500 because taxing 20% higher was a really bad idea, and it self-corrected. Capital, and this is why I'm getting on a plane tomorrow night. I intentionally didn't leave till tomorrow night so I could go to Geneva, go to Abu Dhabi, go to Riyadh, and say it's 21% corporate taxes, 100% not going to change. That is very important for people like me that bring capital back to this country. It fixed itself. It fixed itself. And I think that's why America works. It has worked for 200 years. When it gets too crazy, it fixes itself. And whether you love Trump or you hate him, every Democrat owes him a thank you very much, Mr. President.
Wow, guys, that is a major endorsement from Kevin O'Leary. And keep in mind, Kevin O'Leary traditionally doesn't even like Donald Trump. I've heard him go off on him, but from a policy standpoint, it looks like Kevin O'Leary's got Donald Trump's back. And Donald Trump also saved America from getting hit with getting hit with taxed earnings for unrealized gains. That is completely unconstitutional, and I am so glad that that Donald Trump has literally put his foot down against that. So, yeah, we absolutely needed that.
Next, with Kevin O'Leary, O'Leary Ventures Chairman, and Anthony Pompliano, Professional Capital Management Founder and CEO. Great to have both of you here on set today on such a big day. Kevin, I want to start with you. I sort of walked through the classic Trump trade 2.0. As an investor, how do you think about days like today and a future president?
Most of the moves you're seeing, including in Bitcoin, is around lifting of the regulatory weight that's been put on in the previous administration. About $1 trillion we pulled out of this. And so this will be very good for every sector, including energy. We just detailed that. But crypto specifically, it started to happen just before 1 o'clock in the morning. It trades 24/7. It's an index for a regulated environment for financial services in the U.S., which will bring in a huge amount of institutional capital here. Pomp and I have been involved in this sector for years and years. And you know, before he even gets into it, I was against Bitcoin years ago, and the first debate I ever had was with him on it. I've reversed my position, obviously, and for a good reason. But
any Bitcoin cryptocurrency investors in here, or how many of you guys are just totally scared of it? Or let me know if you don't know anything about crypto. Let me know, guys.
But what this means, and let me give you some of the rumor mill going on this morning. The CFTC is going to take a bigger role in regulating all tokenization and digital payment systems. They're looking for a new master of disaster there, if you want to call it that, someone to take on the role of that.
Wow.
It won't be so much SEC focused. And so we're very excited about that in the crypto industry. But for me, it's digital payment systems. What a great place to invest. So I have put money to work in Circle, USDC, and other infrastructure investments. It's fantastic.
Wow. So guys, this sounds like America, the United States, the Fed is probably going to be looking at these movements and say, hey, we need to get moving forward with this CBDC. You see what I'm saying? Because the U.S. government, the Federal Reserve, never wants to be behind the ball. They always want to be relevant. They want to make sure that they are in control. So I could easily see more of a push towards central bank digital currencies coming down the pipeline in the future. But we're going to touch back on this in just a second. But critics of Letitia James, her actions are arguing that basically every new legal move against Donald Trump has only strengthened his support, as a lot of Americans are seeing this as unfair. In fact, they're actually suggesting that repeated attempts to prosecute Donald Trump have only increased his popularity, particularly among a lot of the people who perceive these efforts as being politically motivated. And in their view, actions by officials like Letitia James, they have essentially inadvertently bolstered Donald Trump's position, making his recent victory a reflection of public discontent with what they're seeing, and they're seeing it as a biased legal maneuver. But check this out. So Joe Biden actually got on stage and spoke a few words after Donald Trump's presidential victory.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Please. Thank you. Good to see this cabinet and the staff together. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good to see you all. Particularly good to see my granddaughter sitting in the front row here. Hi, Finn. How are you, honey? For over 200 years, America has carried out the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much, her character. She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character.
A ramrod.
She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran. You know, the struggle for the soul of America, since our very founding, has always been an ongoing debate and still vital today. I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something I hope we can do no matter who you voted for. is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature. I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent. And it can be trusted, win or lose. I also hope we can restore the respect for all our election workers who busted their necks and took risks at the outset. We should thank them. Thank them for staffing voting sites, counting the votes, protecting the very integrity of the election. Many of them are volunteers who do it simply out of love for their country. And as they did their duty as citizens, I will do my duty as president. I'll fulfill my oath, and I will honor the Constitution. On January 20th, we'll have a peaceful transfer of power here in America.
Okay.
To all our incredible staff, supporters, cabinet members, all the people who've been hanging out with me for the last 4 years, God love you, as my mother would say. Thank you so much. You put so much into the past 4 years. I know it's a difficult time. You're hurting. I hear you and I see you. But don't forget all that we accomplished. It's been a historic presidency. Not because I'm president, because what we've done, what you've done. A presidency for all Americans. Much of the work we've done is already being felt by the American people, but the vast majority of it will not be felt over the next 10 years. We have legislation we passed that's just only now just really kicking in. We're going to see over $1 trillion worth of infrastructure work done, changing people's lives in rural communities and communities that are in real difficulty, because it takes time to get it done. And so much more it's going to take time, but it's there. The road ahead is clear, assuming we sustain it. There's so much we can get done and will get done based on the way the legislation was passed. And it's truly historic. You know, we're leaving behind the strongest economy in the world. I know people are still hurting, but things are changing rapidly. Together, we've changed America for the better. Now we have 74 days to finish the term, our term. Let's make every day count. That's the responsibility we have to the American people. Look, folks, you all know it in your lives. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up.
Are we getting like a motivational pep talk from Joe Biden?
Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated. We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up. That's the story of America for over 240 years and counting. It's a story for all of us, not just some of us. The American experiment endures. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged. We need to keep going. And above all, we need to keep the faith. I'm so proud to have worked with all of you. I really mean it. I sincerely mean it. God bless you all. God bless America. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow, guys. So Joe Biden has he's actually come out and officially accepted the defeat. He's accepted the victory of Donald Trump. And it sounds like there's going to be a peaceful, cooperative, collaborative transfer of power.
My question is just if you can or want to address the criticism that's being directed at him for this loss.
There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say a lot of things. There's going to be election experts who are going to look under the hood in the next couple of days and weeks and months, as I've said already, and they're going to have their opinion on this race. What I can say is that, and this is something the president says all the time, you get knocked down, you get back up. And the president said this moments again. This is a defeat, but we are not defeated. And the president believed he made the right decision on behalf of the American people, on behalf of this country, to step aside. And we saw what happened in 2022 after the midterms. We saw where we were at that time. And this is how elections are. This is. It ebbs and flows. You win, you lose. And this is where we are today.
Letitia James tried lawfare. The Democrat Party tried lawfare, and they lost. So now they need to go home. That strategy did not work. Letitia James brought a case, the civil fraud case, and it was unprecedented. Our own brain room said we cannot find any example of a similar suit against a crime that was victimless. They could not find precedent for this. So she tried this, and the naked political reason was this was politically motivated. She called Trump a con man, all sorts of names. She ran on this. And what she's doing now is exactly what Gavin Newsom's doing, exactly what Kamala Harris did yesterday, and now her. They all want to be the leader of the resistance. They are all positioning themselves to take the mantle of the Democrat Party and move forward.
So this is very, very good news here, guys. But I do want to get back to some of the key points that Kevin O'Leary was making with regard to Donald Trump's victory and how it's affecting our economy and our finances. Watch.
Interesting, because I was watching Bitcoin last night. I was watching the betting markets as well. When Trump got to 90%, it was just
everybody's up in the middle of the night checking
No,
Bitcoin.
this was just before 11 o'clock.
2 a.m.
Anthony, I said to myself, you know what? Sleep is more important than waiting for him to win. I'll find out in the morning. But ultimately, we're looking at an equity market right now that is going gangbusters on this notion, maybe regulation for crypto, Kevin, but not for a lot of other industries. Pull back on regulation, lower corporate taxes. Donald Trump is seen as a pro-business president who's going to bring CEOs into the fold who are going to help him manage as well. And you've got a Dow, Taylor, to your dismay, that I'm speaking about the Dow, that's up 1,400 points right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think, first of all, you got to remember, you're putting a pro-business, pro-investor, pro-capitalism candidate in the White House. That's good for business, that's good for investors. So I think that they're getting long, but more importantly is there's a vibe shift. And so not only are they getting long, they're also getting loud. And you can feel people saying, hey, wait a second, I was a little uncertain going into the election what was going to happen. Now that it's such a decisive victory, he's going to go into the White House. I need to be fully exposed to this market. We're going much higher. You're doing that at the same time they've got the Fed cutting interest rates and M2 money supply growing. And so I think that that'll be very good for risk assets in general. Another area that people are not talking about yet, which I think plays into some of the deregulation, is Trump has run on a deregulation in the energy sector. And so one of the areas that I'm really paying attention to is the intersection of these new technologies, AI, crypto, et cetera, with these kind of more modern energy infrastructure companies. So there's a company in Canada, Hut 8, that I'm an advisor with. They're an energy infrastructure provider to the new industries. And so you get kind of deregulation on energy, but then you get these new energy consumers. And so anywhere where you can find them.
Wow. So I got to really ask you guys, like, how many of you guys are invested in the stock market? Do you have money? Do you have cash sitting on the sidelines? Now, I'm not an investment advisor at all, but it looks like all signs are pointing to this being an incredible opportunity right now with the S&P 500, with the stock market, with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, with a lot of these different AI heavily invested companies coming down the pipeline. Watch out. That's all I can say.
Modern industries intersecting with these kind of more traditional businesses. I think you're going to see a huge kind of capital flow because people realize that they want some of the new riskier stuff, but they also still want the fundamentals of a business with hard assets, et cetera.
Wow. Now, we also have to take into consideration that staying in too much cash can actually be very dangerous too, especially with inflation, right? Especially with inflation, especially with asset appreciation or asset inflation as well. So I'm just saying, guys, we got to be mindful here.
Let me talk and kind of marry this together because we just got the news on Michigan, okay? And it was breaking toward Trump. We've now confirmed it's in his category. That's a big deal that Trump wins Michigan. Heart of the auto industry, heart of the union fights this year. Kevin, what does that tell you?
So the unions endorsed Harris. However, the membership voted for Trump is what happened. Because even though he doesn't want to mandate electric cars, this is good for just the industry as it stands because now they'll allow people to make choice between combustion and electric. And it won't put so much pressure for these for car companies like Ford, which is just, that stock has been dead in the water for years as a result of losing so much money on electric cars.
Wow. So let me ask you guys, how many of you guys would not want to necessarily buy an electric car? How many of you guys still want your gas burning, your fuel burning combustion engine vehicles? And you're not ready for electric vehicles? Y'all let me know what you think on that one.
Now they can say, wait, we'll build what people want, because Trump wants competition in the market. We love that. This HUD 8 company I'm well aware of, and it's an interesting thing he brought up, because Pomp is right. The challenge we have now is we need power for the HUD 8s of the world. They provide the data centers we don't have any power for, and now with Trump we'll get the power. It's not just drill baby drill on oil, it's gas baby gas, because we can get the turbines to turn it into electricity.
I think
Is Kevin O'Leary wearing 2 watches? I've never seen anyone do that.
getting too much agreement between these two.
I know, we
right
need
now.
to
He's a very
Right.
bad guy. He's a very bad guy. He's a very bad guy.
Can I just say this? I think actually pulling off regulation and subsidies from the green space is going to spur innovation in that space. We'll get more of it under Trump because he's a lighter touch guy.
I do.
Guys, this is phenomenal. This is going to be really interesting. This is going to be a big year. This is going to be a very big year. If you guys are not preparing yourselves, or if you don't know what to do going forward, I highly encourage you guys to join us over in our Liberty Pursuit Network. You can join like-minded people who are getting ready for one of the greatest wealth transfers in American history. If you haven't already joined us, go ahead and do so now. I'm going to leave a link for you guys in the description down below. Click on the link, join us over on our Liberty Pursuit Network, join like-minded people who are looking for more out of life. Okay, guys? And I'm going to be sharing all sorts of insights. You guys can ask me questions. And we're taking this thing to the next level. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys rocking with me today. Hit the like button if you appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're still subscribed. Join us over in our Liberty Pursuit Network, link in the description down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe. Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. And, you know, whether it's Donald Trump that ends up winning the election or if it's Kamala Harris, oh, God, we're in a world of a pickle, as my grandfather would say. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you know, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And it's kind of funny because where I used to work with a lot of married men. And a lot of those married men would always complain about their spouses as if they really just didn't even like their spouses, which is sounding like a pretty horrible situation. But that was the case for many of them. They didn't like who they were married to. But I was different. Anyway, through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, you know, like, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place